How about our panel right now? Rick and Caitlin are back with us. Bloomberg Politics contributor Rick Davis, Republican strategist, partner at Stone Court Capital, alongside Democratic strategist Caitlin Legacki, senior fellow at Third Way. How you looking at this, Caitlin? Is it a moral victory for Democrats?
I don't believe in moral victories. I do think that it's a very positive sign for the party that the district swung as much as it did. There are currently about 40 other Republicans that are sitting in House seats that they won by less than the 8-point margin that we saw last night. So all of those seats should now be considered gettable. But I do think as well that, you know, the candidate in this race on the Democratic side did not benefit from nationalizing this race. And it really underscored the importance of Democrats nominating candidates who are aligned with the views and the beliefs of the districts they're running in, and to really focusing on the local issues that matter rather than trying to turn everything into, you know, cable TV fodder or what's going to play best with the Twitter audience.
Interesting. Rick, I'm curious if you're going as far down the road as some political strategists are after last evening. I was struck by the quote from Matt Whitlock, Republican in Politico this morning. Quote, if every House district in the country shifted left by this same amount, we would be looking at a blue wave far worse than 2018. Is he right?
You know, I think he's close to being right. I think Caitlin nailed it. You'd rather win than anything. So kudos to the Republicans for pulling out a victory here. With the margins they have in the House, it's really important. Two, the only way to calculate this midterm is looking at what Trump vote doesn't show up consistently, both in the elections, you know, this last November, and then in this election. I mean, solidly a minimum of 10% of the Republican Party doesn't show up unless Donald Trump's on the ballot. And Donald Trump won't be on the ballot in 26. So I would actually even expand the margin. It's not just 8%, you know, where if the district was plus Republican 8, you got a horse race. I'd say it's 10 to 15, because there are now plenty of precedents to show that there is half the Republicans in these districts will only show up when Donald Trump's on the ballot. So, buddy, in the House, you're on your own. And I would say that her advice, Caitlin's advice to the Democrats, is exactly right. Don't get candidates who are just going to run against Donald Trump. His vote's not showing up anyway. Get candidates who can actually make a case in their district, and then you got something to work with.
You know, President Trump said she despises country music. Caitlin, it could have been as simple as that. But enter political strategist Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, on X. Producer James just put this in front of me. This is remarkable. Ron DeSantis writes, special off-year and midterm elections historically benefit the party out of power because its voters are motivated to vote, while voters of the incumbent party become more complacent. He goes on to write, this is more glaring for today's GOP because a chunk of voters who put them in power in 2024 are Trump-specific voters. They will vote GOP down ballot when Trump is running, but won't turn out to vote for a typical congressman in a midterm when Trump isn't running. Caitlin, it's like Ron DeSantis was channeling Rick Davis. What do Republicans then do in the midterms?
I mean, their goal is, if they're in a state or a district that favors Trump, is to bear hug him and do everything they can to nationalize this race, to make it about Donald Trump, to turn out his voters. But I think the reality of the situation is that Trump's approval ratings keep going down. That's becoming an even riskier proposition. And it's going to just be harder for a lot of members to fight those waves. And so the question for Democrats then becomes, how do you actually leverage that and put forward candidates who are in a position to win and represent these districts?
Well, I'll tell you what, Rick, when it comes to strategy, if you were launching a campaign, and granted, a lot of them are waiting to find out what the maps are going to be for the midterms, how would you take last night's lessons in Tennessee and try to exploit them next November?
Yeah, so I think, Republicans need to take the same advice Caitlin was giving to Democrats. You can't rely on the Donald Trump vote to turn out. You've got to be very granular on the issues. You really, in this case, want to localize the election as much as possible. You don't have much to run on. The big, beautiful bill, which is your signature legislative accomplishment, is not popular. And as Caitlin said, Trump's approval rating isn't going to get better between now and next November. There's just nothing on the horizon that shows that he's going to have a big win somewhere. So the reality of it is you're on your own, buddy, and you better find votes the old-fashioned way. You know, I'd go to the ground, knock on doors. I would find issues locally, education, health, things that are not typical Trump-related issues that you can find common cause with, especially suburban voters. The rural voters will likely be there for you, just not in the same margins as a presidential election year.
Interesting. This really does make me look forward to campaign season. Talking this out with you guys is always fascinating to me. But let's talk about the immediate impact, Caitlin. Mike Johnson now has 220 House Republicans again, so it's like we're starting the year all over. And obviously, we've got a long time before we're talking about actual midterm races. So this brings us immediately to the congressional agenda. And it might have just gotten a little more difficult for Democrats in the House to pass any extension of Obamacare subsidies. What do you think?
I think that you're increasingly going to see a number of Republicans who are looking for ways to show their independence from both House leadership and Donald Trump as part of an effort to kind of stanch the bleeding in the midterms. So I actually think that last night's results actually may give Democrats a couple of spots to work with Republicans who are in these suburban districts where ACA is very popular to get some of these key provisions across the finish line, simply because I think a lot of members in these frontline districts, they're either going to retire or they're going to look for ways to separate themselves from the national party. And this is a really easy way to do it.
Interesting. What do you think about that, Rick? Does this additional seat matter for Mike Johnson?
Look, everything matters with these slim margins, and it's just more leverage that he gets. It's incremental, but it's a good thing, right? I think Republicans really have to figure out how to get out of this trap, because the trap is they look like they are stopping health care from reaching Americans without a plan to replace it with anything. And as much as I like Senator Cassidy, the idea that we're going to just, give people another health account is not going to cover it with the voters. So if I were Republican strategist, I'd be finding an exit door fast to get this done before the end of the year, so that you can look at next year without having to talk about this all day long.
Well, that sounds like an opportunity for Democrats, Caitlin. What do you think?
I agree. I think Rick should take over all strategy for the Republican Party these days.
It didn't work out.
I don't think that's an endorsement, Rick. Yeah, he had that job.
I agree
before.
with everything.
Let's not go too far. In our remaining moment, Caitlin, the point that you made with regard to Tennessee about nationalizing the race, the fact is the Democrat in this case, Afton Bain, was called the AOC of Tennessee. President Trump said she hated country music and she despised Christians. Isn't that national politics?
Yeah. And I think, part of what's challenging is that when you look at the Senate map and you look at some of these frontline districts, you have, either primaries or candidates where you're choosing between somebody with local roots and local experience where the people know them, they know what they stand for, and candidates that are more popular online, and we should be opting for the former.
Well, this is a great conversation, and I appreciate both of your insights.